Am I the asshole for correcting my stepdaughter's dad when he called me her nanny? I've been with my wife for 8 years now. She has primary custody of her daughter, Santana. Santana sees her dad, Mark, every other weekend and some holidays. As I've been one of Santana's primary caretakers for the past 7 years since I moved in with her mom, I've taken care of her more than Mark has, and we are quite close. My wife and I went on to have 2 children together, who are now 5 years and 18 months. I've been a stay-at-home dad since the 5-year-old was born. As a result, I'm the one making lunches, driving kids to activities, etc. That includes for Santana. Mark has always felt insecure about my place in Santana's life. I've always encouraged her relationship with her dad, while also being a place she can go to in order to vent about both her parents. I've never asked her to call me dad, but I've made it clear I love her the same as her siblings. And she's also said she loves me and considers me her second dad. Mark also mocks me for my SAHD role. My wife always shuts him down and I just ignore him. He has in the past jokingly called me Santana's nanny and I just roll my eyes and say whatever you think, Mark. I really don't see him much, as my wife will take Santana to her dad's and pick her up. However, yesterday, my wife was sick and asked me to pick up Santana. She really couldn't get out of bed and I knew Mark wasn't going to drive out to us. He's refused in the past. So, I went over to his place to pick her up. He was throwing a barbecue and had some family there. I had never met any of them. Santana ran into my arms, excited to see me and shouting my name. A few people looked at Mark curiously. He laughed and said, "That's Santana's nanny." I shook my head and said, "I'm her stepfather. Greg. Nice to meet you all." Mark turned red and barely said goodbye to Santana. I didn't think much of it outside Mark just being Mark. However, Mark texted my wife later saying I humiliated him and given I'd likely never see those people again. I shouldn't have said anything. My wife told him he's overreacting and he then texted me, saying I had no right to correct him in his own home. He asked what was the big deal in his family thinking I'm her nanny. Am I the asshole? Not the asshole, but man, Mark must be feeling really insecure about himself, that's for sure. You're doing great, Greg. Santana is lucky to have you. What? No, not the asshole. And you certainly didn't humiliate anyone. He asked what was the big deal in his family thinking I'm her nanny. Did you respond because it's not the truth? Not the asshole. And not just for what you said. He has probably told everyone there at some point a story about his ex and partner. You turn up nice and pleasant. His daughter clearly adores you. And Elle can see people putting together the puzzle and coming up with a different picture. And he was caught in his own bullshit. Not the asshole. He humiliated himself. You sound like a great parent. Not the asshole. The big deal is that you're not her nanny. He was embarrassed because his daughter was so excited to see you in front of his family. So he tried to minimize your importance. When you corrected him, he was exposed as an insecure liar. His family knows how often he sees his daughter. They also now have proof of her affection towards you, the man who lives with her and raises her. He humiliated himself. Not the asshole. Mark humiliated himself by calling you a nanny. You merely set the record straight. Well played. And good for you for standing up for yourself. Him calling you nanny in front of his family was both an insult and a power play. You correcting him in front of his family not only pulled the rug out from under him, it demonstrated to his family and friends how much of a jerk he is. Always be civil to the step-parents' parents in front of the kids. Always. That's basic expectations. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. If Santana witnessed this, you should tell her that you love her and you love your role as her stepfather. Let her know that Mark's comments about you being the nanny upset you, because you are a much more important person in her life than a nanny would be. Make sure Santana knows that you care about her and that her father's comments are hurtful for that reason. Not the asshole. In his attempt to humiliate you, he humiliated himself. They call this just desserts. Clearly he's a deeply insecure person who is likely jealous of your involvement with Santana. You handled it perfectly, calling him out factually in front of everyone. My guess is he will now stop calling you. Of course he wants you to teach him another lesson. Not the asshole. It's rich that he feels humiliated when that was his entire aim in introducing you. You handled it with class. Not the asshole. You're one of the good ones and Mark should be damn thankful for that. You have earned your place in your stepdaughter's life and bio dad doesn't get to take that away. It's more jealousy than anything. Just continue what you're doing. Santana will know who was there and made the effort and who didn't. Mark needs to cut you some slack considering you are doing what he is unable to do. Not the asshole. Play stupid games. Get humiliated. Not the asshole. Mark humiliated himself by being incorrect, and petty to boot. Not the asshole. You are by fact her stepfather and not her nanny. If he can't stand it then Mark needs to grow up. I mean H's trying to tellin' you to your wife tears of joy. What's next? Calling your mom or mill tears of joy. Boo poor Mark. Does Mark's family not know that his ex remarried almost a decade ago? Not the asshole. That guy sounds like a real winner. Not the asshole. Mark deserved the smack anyway. But that is really funny. Not the asshole. Mark should consider himself lucky to have stepfather like you in his daughter's life. Sounds like he's salty because he tried to humiliate you in front of his family. Good for you for standing your ground. Not the asshole. And it is a big deal because he is belittling not only you but his daughter by reducing your relationship to that of an employee. If he doesn't want to be humiliated, he shouldn't say stupid and untrue things. You did nothing wrong. Keep being that awesome bonus dad to Santana and Mark can go pound sand. Not the asshole. Man, fuck Mark, you did the right thing. You were nicer than I would have been. I would have said I was the plumber that keeps cleaning his ex-wife's pipes. Not the asshole. Damn. What was he, BB King? His own foot? He sure was in a hurry to stick it in his mouth. Not the asshole. He played himself and it backfired and now he's embarrassed. He then texted me, saying I had no right to correct him in his own home. Similar to the way he's had no right to mislabel your role for the past X number of years. He asked what was the big deal in his family thinking I'm her nanny. What's the big deal if his family knows you're her stepfather? Mark just played the FAFO game and lost. Gosh. I can't imagine why your wife divorced this small, petty, insecure man. Not the asshole.